Welcome to the Infinite Podcast. My name is Carlos Andres Ruiz, and my wife Melissa Ruiz Vasquez is back. You are my favorite guest.
Oh, thanks.
I hope that you know how much I appreciate that. Even on the days that you don't want to do the podcast, you sitting here and having a conversation with me is the best person that I could sit next to. How are you doing today, Mel?
Good. I'm a little physically tired because my workout was hard.
Yeah?
It was hard today. Yeah.
Was this the hardest workout of the week?
I think so.
Yeah.
I did the same workout at like 4 o'clock the other day. That was the one day that I never go that late, but I felt like it was so much easier. And today I was like halfway through and I was like, oh, there's no way I have another 2 sets of this.
Yeah,
I was not having it.
I felt that.
Yeah.
So for you, it's easier to work out later in the day?
Easier physically, not mentally.
How come?
Because mentally I'm like, it's easier for me to start the day with the workout while I'm there. To get there is the hardest thing, but like once I'm there, I'm like, okay, this is a good way to start my day. That way I know I have so much energy.
Yeah.
But physically I'm tired because I haven't ate. Like I go without, like all I have is coffee and then I go to the gym. While if it's 4 o'clock, I've already had breakfast and lunch. So I have more fuel, but mentally I'm like, this is interrupting my day so hard.
Yeah.
But anyways, how are you?
I'm
Do you
good.
have another question?
I'm good. But I feel that my immediate answer to that question is like it has to be in the morning. Because if I don't get it done in the morning, then I'll find all the excuses in the world. But
Yeah.
I do feel that it's more mental than it is physical because the last few times that I've gone in the evening, I've been okay physically.
Yep.
So it might just be more of a mental thing. And I think from working out, when I'm in there, because the morning feels like I have a lot of day ahead, it makes me feel like, okay, I can be present in this workout. And later in the day, I'm either fatigued from the things that I've done, or I need to get something done that didn't get done. So I do think that it's a mental thing. But maybe I'll try more evening workouts. I do want to say that today we have somebody new in the control room.
Yes.
We got Steven. Let's go. I wish we could put a camera on.
Me too. I'm about to get behind the camera.
We could put, actually, there's one of those cameras that like we could put back here.
Oh, yes.
And I wonder if we could mic them up too, and like they ask questions or something like that. But
that's a Josh question.
That's a Josh question. But Steven is going to be a guest in our podcast next week.
Yes,
So
sir.
you'll get to know what Steven looks like, sounds like. And Steven's a man. He's so funny, bro. He'd be the most out of pocket comments and like have you seen Ronaldo's red card? Like I wear that.
No one was thinking about that.
But anyways, thank you, Steven, for helping us today. Are you ready for our warm-up, our icebreaker?
Yes, sir. I'm always ready.
We haven't done an icebreaker in a while.
No.
Okay. I feel like every time we do an icebreaker, it's been a while.
Yeah. Nowadays.
You want me to read it or you want to read it?
Can I read it?
All right, go ahead.
I
Can
got
you
it.
grab it too?
The nails helps. You ready? What's the grossest thing you've ever tasted?
Wow. The grossest thing I've ever tasted. I was having sushi.
Oh,
And it was, I got on to sushi later in my life because I always was intimidated by raw food until I met the right sushi. Like I'm talking about like a wife.
A person. The one.
The one. And then I found the one. And then I started to get like confidence, you know, like maybe like I could, like maybe I just don't have the sushi. Maybe I have like the soy sauce, and then I try the soy sauce. Like I'm not the soy sauce type of guy. The spicy mayo, I am more the spicy mayo type of guy. As long as it's not too spicy. And then I was like, I'm having fun with it. And then there was this thing that looked like guac.
No.
There's this green thing. What is it called?
Wasabi.
Wasabi?
Wasabi.
Wasabi.
Yep.
I threw the wasabi in my mouth as if it was guac.
not the whole thing.
I just like because if it's walked, like it's just like
No,
it's a,
Andres.
and then once like I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I just ran to the bathroom, and that is the
Couldn't be saved.
that is the worst thing.
What saved you?
What do you mean? What saved me?
Like that sounds horrible. Like,
I just
did you have to like chug milk?
No,
like nothing. You just had
I just
water.
went and spit out whatever was left, and then and then I just had more things that I guess what saved me is just starting to eat things that are good. So
Yeah,
like, the
yeah.
sushi and then the mayo. So, anyways, but that was immediately what came to mind.
That sounds like trauma.
What is the most gross thing you've had?
The grossest thing
What is
you've ever tasted.
What is the grossest thing you've ever tasted?
That one's tough for me. Grossest thing I've ever tasted. Maybe it's because I grew up a picky eater, then it made it hard for me to have like something gross, because then I was like, no, I don't want to try it. When
Nothing just immediately pops into your mind?
No, I mean, it made me think of when this is exposing, but like, you know, when you're at home and you're like, is this really expired though? And then you go ahead and try
yeah,
it.
That can be.
I feel like it's probably had to be like some kind of expired cheese. That is rancid. Like that is nasty. Or expired milk. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts when you drink that. Because especially because if you, upon like inspection, you don't notice. Worst one is when you go to serve yourself, don't like, you're not mindful of it. You're like, oh, it's milk. Like I've always had milk. And then you go to...
And you chug it as if it was good.
That's painful. Yeah.
I would agree with
I
that.
think any kind of spoiled milk or cheese for me, that's the grossest thing. Fortunately, I haven't tried wasabi because I heard the warnings beforehand.
Yeah. Oh.
Who, if you were with somebody who was experienced in sushi, they I want to say that they did not care for your well-being to not be like, bro, do not have that.
I don't know. Like,
that's like a warning. Like,
yeah, it was bad.
that's crazy.
It was bad. But like a part of me wants to be like, I need somebody else to do it in front of me.
So you could just watch them and be like, happened to me. Been there. Go to the bathroom, buddy.
It's crazy. But yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it once it happens.
And all you can do is get mad at yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like not like anyone put it, like made you eat it.
Yeah.
It was, and the worst things is when all you can do is blame yourself, but you're still mad.
I feel you. There's nothing worse than not being able to blame anybody.
Yep. Except that is actually the worst thing.
Yeah. So what we talk about in this podcast is a lot of things. We go into a lot of different topics, but all of the topics revolve around relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development. And so we hope that if you've been following us, you have been able to grow in one of these and be able to look at the world a little bit different, because I'm convinced that when you master or just improve in any of these, you optimize the expression of who you are as a human. So what are we going to talk about today, Mel?
Lately, when I've gone out places and like I meet someone who maybe doesn't know you or knows of you, and they ask me like, oh, what does he do? I have such a hard time responding, especially if it's in Spanish. I'm like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. I can hardly tell you what athletic training is in Spanish, let alone like what everything that Andres does. Like when I got my haircut, he was asking me, what do you do? I was like,
what I do.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, now on top of saying what you do, now you want me to say it in Spanish? Struggle. I'm not sure I communicated well what you do.
I love this. So where do you land?
I told him, you know, he's a soccer coach, but he works on, because I don't know how to say like personal and player development. So I said desarrollo. So I said development. And then it was kind of like, oh, but it doesn't feel like that tells someone exactly what it is you do. So I guess my question for you, for everyone, is what would you say Andres does? And why? Like, why are you passionate about it? What brings you to do what you do?
Wow. What a question.
Gotcha.
We're going to need a lot of episodes. What does Andres do? I guess I'll start with this. I often ask myself, when I'm no longer here, what would I want people to say that I did? And the answer that I land at is what I don't want them to say.
Yeah. Sometimes that's easier.
And so where I land is I don't want them to say that he was a soccer coach. And as much as soccer is so much of my background, I think if I am only known to be a soccer coach, I have limited my expression of being a human. I think soccer was something that was outside of me and is part of a vehicle to bring people to something else. And so I think, one, I would say it's good that you feel like soccer coach limits the description. And then when I have to come up with a articulation of what I do, I really am just so passionate for humans to believe in themselves. And I am convinced that the most effective and the best way for a human to believe in themselves is when they have an encounter with God. And that connection turns into a human that loves themselves, a human that loves others in a complete different way once they've gained the ability to love themselves, and then a human that becomes aware of how madly God is in love with them. And so I think that if I could sit with somebody, and the other thing is, like, I don't really know if it's small talk or people actually care what you do. It's the right thing to say, what do you do? But if you really want to know what I do, then you gotta, like, this is what I do, and I would have to sit and explain to you all of that. But in short, I think I long to be remembered as, oh, he's the guy that helped me love myself more and love others more and remember that God is madly in love with me. And I don't know if you put coach to that, if you put friend to that, if you put husband to that, but the beautiful part is that you could put anything on that. And I think we live in a reality that you need to have a title in order to be able to be defined. And I think that maybe is something that I am not wired to do. I do something that comes from inside of me, and then I'll embrace any title to go do it. I'll be an assistant coach somewhere. I'll be a head coach somewhere. I'll be a husband. I'll be a brother. I'll be a son. I'll be a friend. I'll be an assistant pastor. I don't know, I'll do anything and in fact, the more things that I do allows me to prove that I can do these three in any container. And then I think because I have a really challenger mindset, I think it's almost like, oh, let me see in how many things can I do this. So I'll go and coach, be part of a basketball team staff to see if I can do the same thing in there. And I feel like, in fact, being a soccer coach almost limits it because, or even for me, when I'm on a soccer field, because I know so much of the game, then I get distracted by trying to win or trying to understand the tactics. When I'm helping at a basketball team, I have no clue what the tactics are. I know you got to put the ball in the hoop. You got to do the triangle, offense or defense or whatever. But it gives me a more pure interaction with the humans there. And I still get to use the container of basketball, and they love the sport. But now I can not get distracted, and how do I help this? All that to say, if I had to put one title to what I do, I think I am a spiritual environmentalist. I try to depollute the human soul.
That was good. I was like, wait, where are we going? Because I don't feel you've vocalized it in that way to me before. Have you? I'm, you know me and my memories.
I probably have when I talk to you on my journal.
Oh, okay. See, I wasn't there, but I was there. Got it. Okay.
How does that sound? Does that sound like?
No, I love it. I mean, it is very like it almost feels mystical.
So
Where
imagine
it's
if the guy that was cutting your hair, by the way, your hair came out beautiful.
oh, thank you.
I love your curls. But imagine if you're like, yeah, my husband is a spiritual environmentalist.
Yeah.
He depollutes the human soul.
Yep.
What would he say after?
I kill Kalba.
And he would have messed up your.
You're like, what? Yeah, no, I don't think, I think it takes a certain person to like be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes some sense. I could dive into that a little more, but yeah, I think it's very encompassing of yourself in the sense that it's very like, it's not as specific as saying something like a soccer coach. It's like, oh, that tells me exactly what it is. But a spiritual environmentalist would be, okay, in what context? In does it require a sports team? Is it in general? Like, what is your role? Like, what are your job responsibilities? Yeah. Because I think we've talked about it before, but sometimes when we're talking about our identity, like what tends to come up is, oh, I am blank career. Like, I am an athletic trainer, I am a physical therapist, I am a soccer coach,
Yeah.
like, I am a college student. Like, that becomes your identity. And this is something that comes out of my mouth a lot. I saw a video the other day, but I think it's very helpful when it's like these kinds of videos where I learned something, similar to what Robinson was saying, if you saw whatever podcast that he was here for. He was saying that he likes to have his feed more productive. So like this feels more productive. But the video in turn was somebody teaching like to a camera about like what is the difference between purpose and calling. The video he was explaining was essentially calling is what you might be called to do in that season of your life. So it's not necessarily that you're always going to be a soccer coach. It's not necessarily that you're always going to be a I don't know, teacher. Like, it's what's important about that is because he broke it down as who, what, and how. The how is the calling. So how you do it is you're a teacher, you're a soccer coach, you're whatever role you're playing. And I feel a lot of people, especially in spiritual spaces, have echoed something similar in the sense that you use that to essentially, it's part of relational intelligence in making relationships with people and actually making that impact. And for us, it's important in terms of like echoing God's voice into like helping them see how, like you were saying, like how much He loves them and like how, you know, you always are going to have some kind of meaning. Because I think a lot of times we have issues not seeing our own meaning, purpose, calling. So the purpose being that we want to like preserve truth and like we want to carry that truth, which would be Jesus in that case. But like, so to your point, like the environment is just your calling. So whatever in that season calls for you. In the past, it's been soccer coach, it's been student, it's been soccer player. But like maybe right now it's a lot of different spaces that you're being pulled.
Wow, so that
Yeah.
that's really good. I'm gonna go watch.
You should.
Yeah.
He's very good and he's very passionate. He did it a lot.
Yeah.
It was, and he had like a blackboard. So like I'm seeing the
okay.
blackboard. That's why I did this.
Yeah.
Because that's how he kind of pulled it. But anyways.
So it was purpose and calling, right?
Yep.
Which from that explanation, I almost feel as if I'm in a place where my purpose is becoming bigger than my calling. And so the moment that soccer was not big enough for my purpose, I needed to explode out of this thing. It was almost like going from caterpillar to butterfly. And sometimes I really do feel, and maybe I'm in the cocoon stage, because I feel like I'm trying to get out of this thing, and this cocoon that's holding me back is soccer. And I've said before, like I want to create a job that allows me to get out of soccer, because this is not something that I think it's the totality of my purpose, which I had never thought of the idea that your purpose can become so much bigger than your current calling, and that might be evidence that why you feel uncomfortable where you are. You feel like the season's over.
Yeah.
And life shows you, with the example of the caterpillar. The caterpillar needs to, whether it wants to or not, it needs to change its reality, which was a really helpful point of view.
So I guess my follow-up question for you, and I also feel like I need to, I'll put in the bio the video, not the bio,
Oh, yes,
the
yes.
info, the video that I
Yes.
saw, because
I need
I
to
want
go
people,
find it.
yeah, you have to go watch it, and everyone who's watching or listening needs to go watch it, because I thought it was very interesting, and I think he's gifted in what he does in teaching. But anyways, my question for you to follow up is, so it sounds like you are moving a lot more focused and more into like that spiritual space, because although we know that playing soccer or being part of a sports space is already very spiritual, but like you're trying to make that more the forefront than soccer is. What in your past, or what makes you so passionate about doing that? Because I know your story, but I'm not sure that everyone listening, everyone watching knows your story.
Yeah.
And if I'm watching and I hear somebody is trying to go into whatever space, I'm like, well, why? My question is, why do you want to do that? And why should I trust you, believe you, follow you in that space? Because I'm not going to just do it with anybody. Sometimes I look at people and I'm like, well, what's the reason for it? I need to know why you're passionate about it, because otherwise I can't trust it. So yeah, that would be my question.
That's an excellent question. I don't know if the question is so good that I'm like cold right now, or is it really cold here?
No, I'm warm, but maybe because I've been yapping.
It's like really present deep down inside of me. I want to make sure that I articulate it well, but why, and hopefully I understood it well enough, that why do I give myself permission to step out and feel that I have a point of view that should be listened to even outside of soccer?
Essentially.
As the older I get, the more I realize that there's specific principles inside of my story of soccer as a player or as a coach that are overlapping to life. And I think a question that I'm battling right now is, how far out of this calling of soccer do I feel like I need to go? And for example, is it from soccer to basketball, so a different sport within sports? Or is it from soccer to mental performance in soccer, or from soccer to tactics, or from soccer to spiritual performance inside of soccer? And so when I try to expand to see how far away from soccer do I feel like I need to go, at the moment I feel that outside of soccer, but I still feel called to sports, because I feel that I learned these principles within sports. But even though it's within sports, I can't unsee the way that sports overlaps human longings and our spirituality. And so I am convinced that these principles, if you are able to identify them, then you're going to optimize your human experience. And I will long for people to not be limited to a craft, and feel that it's so much more than what you do. It's who you are and how you were designed. And I think that's what makes my heart beat when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, that's what I want to help humans do, reach their fullness of humanity, rather than their fullness of a soccer player, their fullness of a basketball player, your fullness of humanity. Because if you reach that and you come back to soccer, you're going to be a significantly better soccer player, soccer coach, basketball player. But because we don't work on that, then we almost have a limit, like a ceiling, because we forget that it's not that developing the athlete is what's going to get you to the highest expression of your athletic career. It's developing the human, because it's the human that actually informs the athlete. And so I say that because that's the way it breaks down in my mind. And then when I think of the human, then the human takes me to a place of humans were created by God. And so when I look at all of these moments in my soccer career, I start to see moments of how my humanity and collaboration with God have shifted my life in that season. And one of the stories that really has always echoed inside of me is a moment in college. It was the first college game that I was going to be part of. I was a freshman, and we were in this dark locker room in New York, and we were going to play against St. John's. And I remember that I was a freshman. It was going to be the first college soccer game, and I was told that I was going to be a starter. And like any other, or at least for myself as a freshman, I was like, wow, I'm going to start. This is something that just to be there was almost an impossible when you go backwards and know of my story. I was undocumented, and about 8 months before that night inside of that locker room, I had gone to Boston University and met with the coaches, and that conversation ended at, it's basically impossible for you to be part of Boston University. You have the skill and you have the discipline, like your grades are great, your soccer skills are great, but your status is a really big hurdle that we can't jump over in the way that we allocate our investments in athletics. But if you were legal, then it would be a no-brainer. Immediately you would be able. And so I remember that day I left with this sense of powerlessness. And that's one of the moments where I'm like, I know that humans don't only feel powerlessness when they're trying to go play Division 1. I know that humans feel that in so many areas of their life. And so if I can understand how to cope with that, I have unlocked something that can help so many humans. And so I went to the train station, and I remember there's a Dunks, and I don't even like Dunks. And I went into Dunks, and I went into the bathroom, and I started crying in the bathroom, and I was just pissed. I was pissed because how could it be possible that I have everything that somebody needs to be able to be welcomed into this environment, and because of something that I don't have control of, I can't do it. And something that I realized in that moment was that whether you like it or not, there is a limit to your abilities. And so often as I look back onto my story, I realize that you can have all the ability in the world, but there's still things out there that your ability can't get you in. And so you fast forward all the way to that night, which then you think of that conversation 8 months earlier, and then you think of that night when I'm in the locker room at an away team with Boston University, and I'm about to start. And so just that alone created part of it was nerves, but there's this moment of awe that's like, wow, this is like I'm living an impossible almost, or at least what people had thought it was an impossible. And I can feel that in the room. There's nerves as well. We're athletes, it's our first game. Some of them were on track to get drafted, and so this is the start to a season that can get them to the next level. And then I felt like the coaches were also a bit nervous. And so we huddled, and it was our first huddle before stepping onto the fields after a really good preseason. And then the same coach that had told me that it wasn't going to be possible for me to be part of Boston University, the coach that now put me on the starting lineup, looked at me and said, I don't know what it is about you, but God listens to you. Can you pray for us? And that phrase has been echoing inside of me in a way that when I'm no longer here if there's a phrase that I want people to say is, I don't know what it was about Andres, but God listened to him. And when I hear that, and I remember how human I am, I'm convinced that everybody has the capacity to get God to listen to them. And I won't get too much into the details of the story, but one thing that I have identified is that there was something inside of me that gave a sense of authority. That in a moment where there's this coach that gets paid a lot of money, there's this coach that he had been coaching there longer than I had been alive.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of experience in a Division I program. He has assistant coaches that have the expertise to lead a team in a moment of nerves, new season, new game. There's captains in the room, there's upperclassmen in the room, and for some reason, he felt like this freshman had something in him that had the authority to calm the space. And so for me, the only place that I can identify that is when I go back in the Bible, and the first thing that God gives us in Genesis 1, when he creates humans in his likeness, he says that I give them complete authority over everything on earth. And I think that that is a principle that humanity has forgotten that they have. It's not, you don't even have to earn it. You just have to remember it, you just have to accept it, and you just have to embrace it. And when I work with athletes now, I have so many athletes that are incredibly talented. They have all the ability in the world. But what I have began to see is that under pressure, ability comes short. And in fact, authority is the material that protects your ability. And it is the greatest athletes, the ones that dent their sport forever, who have the greatest authority in their sport. And it's not so much about their ability, because at that level, the ability is all at such a high level, but it's that authority. And when you see it in sports, it's like, it's that athlete that's like, yo, I don't care if I'm winning. By the second half, I want to be crushing you. Is that athlete that if the game ends and they lost, they go up to you like, I didn't lose, I ran out of time. Like, you're lucky that we ran out of time, you know? Yeah. And it is this authority that comes out in a way that ability then becomes protected. So it's not that I'm saying don't harness your ability, but it's this authority. And the reason that I feel like authority is so important is like when you look at the word authority, the beginning of the word authority is author. And I think we don't have the boldness or the belief in ourselves that God has given us the ability to write the story of humanity here on earth. You don't tangibly see God here on earth. It is us who are writing the story on earth. And so I think having the ability to believe that you have authority is something that will disproportionately affect your human experience, not just for yourself, but for others. And so that's just one example of, this is one principle that I find that has been placed inside of the human soul, that we work I can't tell you how much a parent texts me, can you work on a one-on-one session with my player? They need to be on the field, they need to get extra reps. And I'm like, I wish I could convince you in one phone call that they are not lacking ability, they're lacking authority. And sometimes it feels like they leave the session more confident, but in the session, you don't have fans. In the session, you don't have an opponent. In the sessions, you don't have scouts. You don't have pressure. And so then they go back to their team and pressure comes. And then although your ability seemed to have increased, your authority hadn't. And so the pressure exposes your ability, and it also exposes that you lack authority. And so one of my biggest passions right now is how do I convince people that there's this untapped authority inside of them? And then there's a very specific way to not just identify authority, but develop your authority.
Yeah.
I went in for a wild, and I can go on to what develops the authority, but I'm gonna stop right there just to see where you're at.
Yeah. No, I mean, thank you for sharing that. Especially, I think your story is like evidence of how combining that relationship with God and like your ability and like what you want can get you where you feel you need to be. But something that came to mind for me, just because yesterday I was listening to like the continued education things that I have to do for athletic training. And one of them was on psychology and like sports psychology. And even if you don't believe in God, even if you're listening and you're like, well, I don't know why I should believe in any of that. And we've had this conversation recently about how much of science backs up what we've read in the Bible, what we've heard, what we've learned. And they were talking about precisely what you're talking about. And we've talked about like athletic identity and how important that is, to not place all of your identity. And basically for a long time growing up, your career or what you feel your calling is, like we were talking about, is soccer player, is basketball player, is enter whatever sport you play. And as soon as it's taken from you, all of a sudden I don't matter or I don't exist, or like what even is my life without this sport in it. And I think like you've talked about before, the bomb that doesn't explode, like we don't think about that while we're investing that time for our child to be on the field doing a one-on-one, while we're throwing them in all these like extracurricular activities that have to do with their sport. Maybe we're not thinking about how much value we're placing in their athletic identity and how devastating it is to an individual when that sport is no longer maybe at the same level that they're used to growing up. Because sometimes it takes time to find a way to stay with your sport without being at that same level, like coach, ref, whatever. So I think to your point about helping people understand that the reason that maybe the things that you like about yourself that make you an athlete aren't necessarily have to be tied to your sport. They're just tied to you and your humanity. Because I think you can kind of add to this, but like in my experience, the second I got injured, I've said it before, but like that getting ripped away from you, not only for some people it's just senior year and it's your last game, like maybe it's a playoff game and that's when the waterworks come, and that's when a lot more things down the road, if you're not careful, can be more devastating. But a sudden takeaway from my sport was
a sudden death of you.
To like the version of myself that I've always known. So I guess I was wondering if you felt in your career, in your life so far, was there an instance that you felt like your athletic identity or the way that you saw yourself as a soccer player was like changed or taken away from you? And like, how did that impact you? Just because, to what I was saying earlier, like, I feel like that builds onto why you're passionate about helping young athletes recognize this early on, so that it isn't a bomb that explodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do have a lot of moments, and I think it's really difficult to accept the fact that there's a part of you that's gonna die. And that's one of the reasons why we've created Infinite and Infinite Ballers, because what we're actually doing in our journey is we're identifying the infinite principles inside of us. And while you are in this finite life, which is, I was telling you the other day, this is why I love the word infinite, because as we find these infinite principles, you have to live them in the finite, and those two words are inside of infinite, in finite. And so when we find the infinite principles, like you have infinite authority inside of you, you're tapping into a principle that's going to help you, whether you're a soccer player, whether you're a husband, whether you're a friend, whether you're a father. And it's finding those principles that it's not you leave the sport, but now you know what is the principle that's going to bring out the highest expression of you in that sport, and then in a marriage, and then in as a father. But I definitely, when I stopped playing soccer, I would eat well for soccer. I would go to school for soccer. I would sleep well for soccer. I would get fit for soccer. I would stay out of trouble for soccer. And then I still feel it. Like there's moments where like I don't want to work out. Like there's no reason to work out. And then I knew that there's something that was pulling me to work out. And I think understanding that helps me, like, okay, now I need something that's going to pull me to work out. And now I think when I don't want to work out, like if my kid is an athlete, or if my kid just wants to be healthy, like I want to be a parent that can work out with their kids. Now, will he want to work out with me or not? I don't know. But the fitter I am, the more I increase the chances of that. And so just knowing that, okay, a principle is that we are pulled by something outside of you. And then there's more layers to that. In this case, your son will pull you more than anybody else, any random other person, but we won't get into that. But yes, I do think that it's a reality check where you have to rediscover who you are. And I think that those nasty moments in which you no longer know who you are gets you closer to discovering or rediscovering an expression of you that you can fall in love with. And as painful as that is, it's needed. It needs to end. And so I think it's something that we all go through, not just in soccer. And as we grow, like your relationship with your parents is gonna fluctuate or be different. Our relationship, like I can't imagine that it would be naive of us to think that we're gonna be married to the same Melissa and Andres for however many years we get to be married. There's going to be new expressions of you. And if I stick to the one that was with me in that first date, you're very likely going to get divorced because I didn't accept the change. And same thing as I change. And so again, you go back, it's a universal or a human principle that's so woven into you because we were created to constantly grow, constantly develop. And if we don't see that, then that's where death comes. And not death, like the death of your marriage will come, you know, even the death of your health will come if you don't know how to anticipate some of these things. But yeah, those are things that I feel definitely come about when you only see yourself through the lenses of one identity. This was a really good conversation. I think that we could probably enter onto the next one because I like the idea of the authority inside, but something as a coach that I don't like is to give somebody something that will change their life, but not help them develop it. Yeah. And so knowing that you have authority, but if you've never worked on your authority, then you're going to step into spaces and lose it and leave. And you're like, no, this authority thing doesn't work. And so there's one specific principle that is a practice that will allow you to step into any space with an incredible level of authority. And maybe on the next episode, we dive into that.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great. Any final thoughts? Any final takeaways?
No, thank you for sharing your story. I think I always love hearing all the stories because you're my husband, so I like hearing about you and everything you've been through. But I think it's important for everyone to know why it is that you're so passionate about what you're passionate about, because there's a reason for it. It's not just because I'm jumping on a wave because I think this is where the next big thing is. No, it's because it's lived experience and you want to help other people, not help yourself. So that's important.
Well, thank you for your questions. They were exceptional questions today. I love you. Your haircut's amazing. We didn't even talk about the fact that we have Boston versus New York on set today. Let's go.
I'm not even from Boston.
I'm not even from New York, but
hey.
What if our kids were from New York?
Thanks for thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Mel, for also listening. I love you so much, and we'll see you guys next episode.